a story that begins from nothing. Sometimes, we find ourselves lost in a moment of silence. As we gaze into the endless sky, a quiet question begins to stir within us. Where did all of this come from? How did the universe begin? How could something come out of nothing? From the depths of the earth to the most distant glimmers of the stars, the entire cosmos appears to move in perfect harmony. From atoms to galaxies, everything has its place, its timing, its scale. So precisely balanced that it seems as if there is a plan, a design, perhaps even an intention. Science has taught us much. It tells us that everything began around 13.8 billion years ago with the Big Bang, a sudden expansion from a point of zero volume and infinite density known as a singularity. In that moment, time, space, and matter came into existence. And in the light of what we now know, a deeper question emerges. What was that singularity? Why did it happen? And why with such extraordinary precision? Today, we understand that if any of the universe's fundamental constants, the force of gravity, the speed of light, the structure of the atom, were even slightly different, life as we know it could not exist. The physical laws that govern everything, gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces, are so finely tuned that it's hard not to wonder. Could this all really be just a coincidence? These questions have been asked for thousands of years, and different belief systems have offered different answers. Some believe in a single creator who designed this order. A view shared by Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Others have believed in multiple gods who govern different aspects of the universe, as in ancient Greek, Egyptian, or Hindu traditions. Some reject the concept of a god altogether. According to atheist thought, the universe is simply the result of random processes. And then, there are those who create their own belief systems, often drawing from spirituality, science, or a perceived connection to the cosmos itself. They follow different paths, but the questions they ask are often the same. Where did we come from? Why are we here? And what lies behind it all? These questions have lived in the minds of ancient philosophers, and continue to resonate in the hearts of those who seek meaning. The sacred texts, the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran, offer different, yet often complementary, visions of creation. They describe creation as a decision, a will, a wisdom. Science, on the other hand, investigates how this decision unfolded. Religion seeks to explain why it happened. So, what do you think? Are we merely specks of dust born out of chance? Or are we part of a much greater mystery? In this video, we'll explore both scientific theories and sacred teachings, and search for illuminating answers within the shadows of these profound questions. If you're ready, let's follow the trail of creation. Can science explain everything? For centuries, humanity has tried to understand the mysteries of the universe. One of the most powerful tools in this quest is science. Science studies the behavior of matter, energy, time, and space. We already know the universe was formed approximately 13.8 billion years ago through an event known as the Big Bang. According to this theory, there was initially a point of zero size, a singularity, containing infinite density and energy. At some point, this singularity began to expand. Space and time began to emerge. Galaxies, stars, planets, and eventually life followed. However, while science has provided us with initial answers, it has also raised many unanswered questions. First question: if time and space were created by the Big Bang, what existed before the explosion? Some scientists argue that this question is meaningless because the concept of before is tied to the existence of time itself. But this is essentially an attempt to cover up the problem with language, because no event occurs without a cause. Second question: where did that singularity come from? According to quantum physics, particles can emerge from nothing. But this nothing is not absolute void. It is a space where quantum fields exist. Therefore, the emergence of existence from total nothingness remains unexplained. Third question: if the Big Bang was a random event, why is there such precise physical stability? For example, if gravity were slightly weaker, matter would disintegrate. If the strong nuclear force were a little stronger, hydrogen wouldn't exist. If the electron's mass were a bit different, atoms wouldn't be stable. All of these constants are finely tuned. Scientists refer to this as fine-tuning. Stephen Hawking once said, "The laws of the universe are set up in such a way that it's as if they were designed for the emergence of life." This presents a philosophical dilemma within science. Because the question is, could all this fine-tuning be purely coincidental? Or could it be the trace of some purposeful design? Another topic that science has yet to address is the origin of consciousness. Yes, we have neurons, a brain, and electrical impulses. But how does a self-aware being emerge? How do feelings, love, conscience, and memories come into existence? The theory of abiogenesis, the idea that life arises from inanimate matter, has not yet been experimentally proven. Although amino acids have been synthesized in laboratories, a self-replicating, evolving living cell has not been artificially created. All of this shows that science brings us closer to answering the how question, but it cannot address the why question. Science investigates the material world,
but it is still unable to explain the origins of matter itself. This does not diminish the value of science. On the contrary, it highlights the limits of science. And it suggests to us that perhaps a part of this mystery lies beyond science. If you're ready, we can move to the next section. How do sacred texts explain creation? In which we will present the perspectives of the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran in a sequential and neutral manner. How do sacred texts explain creation? Concept of time and matter. Humanity has always lived with a fundamental question. Where did I come from? This question not only pertains to the body and soul, but also challenges our understanding of time, matter, and space. In this sense, sacred texts not only describe creation, but also provide significant insights into the origins of time and the material universe. The Torah, Old Testament, Jewish perspective. The first book of the Torah, Genesis, begins with, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." The Torah divides creation into 6 days. Day 1, light is created, separating day and night. Day 2, waters and the sky are separated. Day 3, land and plants are created. Day 4, the sun, moon, and stars are created. Day 5, aquatic and airborne creatures are created. Day 6, land creatures and humans, Adam, are created. On the 7th day, God rests. This day is consecrated as the Sabbath in Jewish tradition. This creation model resembles a plan executed with purposeful design, with God as both the creator and ruler, pronouncing everything as good. However, these days are not measured by the physical 24-hour clock. According to interpreters, these days represent God's time, a metaphysical concept of time. Modern Jewish scholars, such as Gerald Schroeder, interpret this notion of time through quantum physics and relativity. Thus, one day for God could equate to billions of years in human time. The Bible, New Testament, Christian perspective. Christianity accepts the creation model found in the Torah, but adds a mystical and spiritual layer. For example, in the Gospel of John, it is written, "In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. Through him all things were made." Here, the word, Greek, logos, symbolizes the creative principle and the will of God. Christians equate this word with Jesus Christ, seeing creation as not just a physical act but also an expression of divine purpose. Thus, creation is not only physical but also spiritual in nature, representing a moral beginning that existed before the physical universe. Time, in this view, is presented as God's will and intention, where he created time and matter from nothing, and for him, time is not a limitation. The Quran, Islamic perspective. In Islam, the creation of the universe is attributed solely to God, Allah. Numerous verses explain that the heavens and the earth were created with wisdom, measure, and order. For example, "Your Lord is the one who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days." Al-Araf 54. "We did not create the heavens and the earth in vain." Sad 27. In the Quran, creation is not described in terms of specific days, but in terms of meanings, emphasizing purpose, depth, and outcome. One particularly striking verse is, "We constructed the sky with power, and indeed, we are its expander." ADH Dariat, 47. This aligns with modern scientific understanding of the expansion of the universe. Furthermore, the Quran mentions that life originated from water. "And we made from water every living thing." Al-Anbiya, 30. These points highlight interesting intersections between religious belief and scientific theories. Quran, creation of time and matter. The Quran also asserts that creation took place in 6 days. However, these days are not the typical 24-hour days we measure today. The Quran itself clarifies, "The day with Allah is like 1,000 years of what you count." Al-Hajj, 47. "The angels and the Spirit ascend to him in a day the measure of which is 50,000 years. Al-Maraj, 4. These verses reinforce the idea of the relativity of time and the timeless nature of God. Einstein's theory of relativity also supports this, stating that time can change depending on movement and gravitational force. Iron coming from the sky, a scientific and Quranic fact. The Quran also mentions, "And we sent down iron, in which is strong material, benefiting mankind." Al-Hadid, 25. The phrase "we sent down" does not refer to a divine revelation, but rather the physical descent of iron. For many years, scientists struggled to interpret this verse. However, modern science has revealed that iron is not originally from the Earth, but was formed in supernova explosions in stars. The iron produced during these explosions was carried to Earth by meteorites. This scientific fact was only proven in the 20th century, yet the Quran referenced it in the 7th century. What does this mean? Matter itself is not local. The iron atoms in our bodies once existed in stars. In other words, humans are made of stardust. This is a remarkable truth that astonishes us both poetically, scientifically, and religiously. Common points and differences. All 3 sacred texts describe creation as purposeful and orderly. The process of creation is presented as gradual and step-by-step. Human beings are depicted as the culmination of creation. And most importantly, the universe is not seen as a product of random chance, but of conscious will. The difference lies in the Torah emphasizes the physical sequence of creation. The Bible focuses on the spiritual reflection behind creation. The Quran highlights both the natural world and the wisdom behind it. What do these perspectives imply? All these sacred texts seek to find reason, purpose, and consciousness behind the universe. These explanations provide alternatives to the question science has yet to answer. For some, these answers are sufficient. For others, they raise even more questions. Perhaps the questions themselves are more important than the answers. Philosophical approaches and contemporary worldviews. Questions about creation are not only central to science and religion, but also to philosophy. Throughout history, many philosophers have approached this topic from different angles. Their searches have sometimes tried to prove the existence of God, and at other times, questioned the necessity of God. Aristotle and the idea of an eternal universe. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle believed that the universe was eternal. In his view, the world has neither been created nor will it ever cease to exist. According to the concept of movement and causality, there must be an initial cause, an unmoved mover, that causes everything to move. This concept was later equated with God in Christian and Islamic philosophy. Creation in Islamic philosophy. In Islamic philosophy, thinkers such as Al-Farabi, Avicenna, Ibn Sina, and Al-Ghazali attempted to explain creation both scientifically and metaphysically. Avicenna referred to God as the necessary existent, meaning a being whose existence is essential in itself and is the cause of all other beings. Al-Ghazali rejected the idea of chance, advocating that every event has divine will behind it. He attempted to prove the createdness of the universe and posed the following question: if something has no beginning, does that mean it is infinite? Is an infinite past possible? Western philosophy, the death of God and new ideas. In the 18th to 19th centuries, a different wave of philosophical thought arose in the West. Nietzsche's statement, "God is dead," emphasized that people had shifted from relying on divine truths to building their understanding on individual thought. The question of the universe's origin thus became a quest for human meaning. After this period, many modern worldviews emerged. Atheism. Atheists try to explain the origin of the universe through random processes. They believe the universe could have originated without any divine cause. Steven Weinberg famously said, "The universe is so pointless that it almost becomes interesting." This view suggests that the universe is the result of purely physical processes, without any underlying purpose. Agnosticism. Agnostics believe that it is impossible to definitively know how and why the universe was created. They argue that such questions cannot be answered because the human mind cannot comprehend such a vast mystery. Pantheism and New Era ideas. Some individuals equate the universe with God. This is the pantheistic view. For them, God is nature itself and is present everywhere. The universe carries a soul, and we are part of it. This perspective sometimes transforms into new spiritual approaches with concepts like energy, vibration, and karma. Simulation theory. Some modern theories are even more fascinating. Elon Musk and some physicists propose that perhaps we are just in a simulation. According to this theory, the universe might be a computer simulation. The stability of physical laws and the perfection of mathematical structure are some of the arguments that strengthen this hypothesis. Conclusion: humanity continues to ask questions. All of these approaches demonstrate one thing: humans are thinking beings. And thinking beings ask questions. They want to understand where they came from, why they exist, and where they are going. Some find answers to these questions in God. Others find answers in the universe itself or within the human soul. However, despite the differing answers, the questions remain common. Where do you find your answer? Final